If you really want the ability to stop readers as they're thumbing through the search box on YouTube, then you have to be able to create awesome looking backgrounds, because it's the backgrounds that make your images stand out. Your background can either make your thumbnail or break you, or your image for that matter. So in this video, I'm going to show you everything you need to know about backgrounds in Affinity Photo to be able to take your images to the next level. And that's coming up. How's it going? This is Digital DIY Geek from digitaldiygeek.com, and today it's all about backgrounds. Now, really quickly before we dive in, you will find all the links and everything I mentioned in the description box below, and I strongly recommend, if you haven't watched the overview video, to go back and do that, because I'm not going to waste any time doing an overview. I'm going to just dive right into the content to keep these videos as short as possible. So let's get started. All right, so here we are at Affinity Photo. So I'm just going to click on the plus sign. And again, we've already went over this. So if you didn't see it, then just go back to the previous video in the description area. And as you can see right here, I'm just doing some standard stuff, changing my pixels. And right now I'm going to change my dimensions to 1920 by 1080. I'm doing this because this is the highest resolution I can go inside of YouTube. Then I'm going to click on this right here. As you can see, I'm toggling it on and off. That is just going to allow me to be able to see it because my background is white. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is pinch in so you can see the whole canvas, so we can see the whole canvas. And the first thing is first, to create a background, you first have to understand what type of background are you looking for. Are you looking for a background that has an image in it? And if so, are you going to have a problem with overlaying text on top of that image because the colors are clashing? Or are you looking for just a solid color that you can use to make a background out of because you want the focus to be on your text? When you're dealing with YouTube, more times than not, you're going to want the focus to be on your text. Doesn't mean you can't use a cool background, because you can. You just have to put some type of tint over it to dim it down so the image or the text can pop in off the screen. So with that being said, let me show you what I mean. So here we are. As you can see right here, I'm going to click on the box icon, and I'm just going to draw a box, and we can come up in here and change that box. We can change the color if we want, using the third one down on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side, excuse me. And I'm going to change it to black. Now, if I didn't like black and I say, okay, well, I don't like that, I can go into my swatches. And the red that I use is this red right here. This is the red I use for all of my things. Now, if I wanted to create a border, now you have two ways to create a border. One way to create a border is just going in and adding the border directly to this box. And you can do that, but when you do that, it doesn't look good. Let me show you what I mean by that. So right now, we're gonna go into the effects panel, which is the FX, and I'm gonna click on outline. I'm going to click on outline again to highlight it so I can get these controls. Now here's what happens. Now watch this. When I add a border, I'm going to say, let's say I want this border to be, let's say inside. We're going to say inside, and I'm going to just make that border about right there. I'm sure we both can agree that this looks pretty amazing. Just this simple fix looks really good. However, watch what happens when I add text to it. So I'm going to go to the text tool, and I'm going to do something that I would normally do, which is add some text to it. And I'll just say, let's say digital. Now, here's what you have to understand. Let's go to the select tool, and you can see we can put that border right there. And we're going to come up to layers. First, we're going to pull this over and make sure it's in our view. Then we're going to go up to layers, and we're going to click on the text. And you can see how this text, and let's change the color so you can see what I'm talking about. We can change the color to, let's say, white. All right, and I'm going to leave out my swatches. So now we can see that this sits on top of the box. The board, this text sits on top, and that's not what we want. And here's why. Let's create another box just to make sure you see this. So I'm going to create another box right here. And actually, we don't need all of those boxes. We're going to change this color to, let's say, white, just so we can see it better. And I'm going to delete that. I'm going to switch to my selection tool so it'll stop doing that. And you can see how, because we put the border on top of the box and it's all one, you can see how whatever we put on top of it sits over the border and it breaks it. And in design, that doesn't look right. It doesn't look appealing. Instead, what we want to do is we want to be able to put the border separately. And the way we do that is like this. We would go back to the select tool. We'll come down here. We'll come back into FX, click that. And what we're going to do is we're just going to turn that off because we don't want it there. Instead, what we want to do is create another box. And we're going to draw this out. Then I'm going to click the select tool and I'm going to just stretch it out, make it fit the full scope. And that should be about it. So I'm going to pull it over a little bit over here because I can see that it's still not done there. And there we go. Pull this one out a little bit. And there go our box. Now, instead, what we want to do is we want to make sure inside of the layers panel, which is the second one from the right, we're going to click on the one we just created, which would be this one right here. We're going to click on effects. We're going to click on outline. We're going to turn that on because we want that feature on. And instead of doing outside, we're going to do centered. And we're going to just turn on that layer. Now, once you turn it on, it gives you a bird's eye view of what's going on. So we can just do that. And I'm going to actually make sure I'm still selected that. And once I've done that, I'm going to actually click on, you see where it says full opacity? I'm going to turn that all the way down and you will see the box come in. Now what I want to do is I want to click on the select tool and I want to grab this and I want to resize this to make sure it's actually correct. And I'm going to pull that down and I'm going to have it like that. And then I'll do the same one right here. So now you can see we have a box, but here's the difference. Now watch what happens when I put that same layer back over the box. If we click on this, you can now see it's still over there, but watch what happens when I grab this border and pull it up. You can see now it sits exactly the way we want it to sit. And this is why I talked about locking layers. So you see how I'm trying to grab one thing and something else keep getting grabbed. This is why it's so important to lock layers once you finish with it, because you don't have to worry about that. It just makes you work more efficient. So let's take a look at that. And I'm gonna just click it right here. And you can see now the box doesn't get broke. So for example, if we wanted to, let's say, grab this text, make it smaller, maybe change the color to something that we can see. We can see where it's, put that right there, maybe stretch it out a little bit to about right there. And we can have it center right there. And then we can come back down here and we could just grab this and take it up one and we can see it. And now we can see how we're able to use boxes and use borders in a way that allows us to create something pretty cool. Now, obviously this is really basic. I'm not showing this from a design standpoint. I'm showing you so you'll know how to do it to get that imagination going. Now let's look at what if we wanted to place an image and we wanted that to be our background instead? Let's take a look at how we would do that. So really quickly, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go up here and I'm gonna delete all this stuff out. Now we're back to a blank canvas, and all we would do is we would click on the page button and we'll click on the three dots, click on place, and then we'll just say place from photos. Now this image right here is an image that I grabbed. So I'm gonna place this image. And the first thing you'll notice is you don't see any image. However, it's there. What you have to do is put your finger where you want that image to go and drag, and your image will pop up like so. So there goes the image. Now, I can move it around. I could make it smaller if I wanted to and have it like this. Or I can scale it out a little bit to make it fit, and I can reposition the image and get the part that I want. So for example, if I wanted to do this, I would be able to do that. Now, here's the cool thing about it. The same thing is true. You still don't want to put a border on this image, which you can if you wanted to, but more than likely, more times than not, you're going to want to have something really close to the edge, and you don't want it to be on top. You want it to seem like it's underneath that border to tie all the colors in together. So the way you will want to keep it is like this. So what I would do right now is I would lock this image. And the way I lock the image is really simple. I taught you how to do that in the very last video. So after you've done this, what happens if you wanted to dial down the color a little bit? Maybe you wanted to put some text over top of this image, and maybe the colors are just too loud and is taken away from the text you really want people to pay attention to. That's really easy to do. Only thing you would do is come over here to your box, and you would just drag it out like so. And actually, I'm going to delete that. So I'm going to just delete. I'm going to put the image here. And from there, I'm going to grab the box. It's kind of tough doing this in this angle. And then after that, I'm going to just let it go. Now that is a perfect box. And what you can do is you can change your color. You want to change your color to black. The reason why you want to change the color to black is because this black is going to serve as a tint to dial down the color of the image. So the way that would work is you would just go into right here. You're going to go into your layers panel. You're going to click on here. You're going to click on these three dots, and you see where it says opacity. You want to just dial it down a little bit. You see how much better that image looks, meaning the colors are still coming through, but they're not as loud and as vibrant as they once was. So, and that's at 50%. So if you wanted the whole thing, you can see how vibrant the image is. And if you wanted to keep that image but dial the colors down, that's an easy way to do it and be able to put your text on top of that tint, and the image and the text just pop out at people. It's really cool, which you'll see that later on in one of our upcoming videos about text. So, I mean, really, that's all it really takes for you to know how to do backgrounds and things like that. Now, I want to show you one more thing, but I want to show it to you with caution, because I actually pulled this image off Google Images, but you have to be careful because some images on Google Images are paid images and they're not free. So to make sure you get one that is free, I'm going to show you how to make sure you ensure you don't get yourself into any trouble. So let's jump over really quickly to Google. So really quickly, you can see this is actually where I got the image from. And if we scroll down, that image is right here. And all I did was just basically save it to my iPad. Now, what you want to make sure you do is you want to go to where it says Tools. And under Tools, you can see here's your sizes you can use, your color if you're looking for a specific color. But this is really what you want to pay attention to, where it says, you can see it says labeled for non-commercial use, labeled for non-commercial use. Then you want to use labeled for use or label for uses with modifications. So if I click on label for use with modification, these are all the images that I can use, and I don't have to worry about anybody trying to come after me or sue me or anything like that for using their images. So this is what I like. This is what I recommend you use. I recommend you keep this search on. Sure, you're gonna have to do a little bit more searches to really find what you want, because obviously these are not as good as some of the paid ones, but good is good enough. So that's what I recommend you do. With that being said, it's really just that simple to be able to add borders, change borders, bring down your colors and things like that, and really take full advantage of Affinity Photo when it comes to creating images and things like that. My very last tip for you is I recommend, once you find a background that you like, I would save that as a template because oftentimes we want our thumbnails to look in unison, meaning they look different. The only thing changes the text. So once you do this for that complete series or that complete playlist you got it in, that background ain't gonna change. The positioning isn't gonna change. Everything's gonna stay the same. The only thing gonna change is your text. So you might want to use it as a template and save it with the understanding that you'll be using that as a template. With that being said, if you want to learn how to build a business starting from scratch, starting from day one, having no list, no subscribers, no social proof, no nothing, I recommend you check out Commission Kickstart. Over there, you'll find a quiz. And if you're a good fit, you'll learn all about what Commission Kickstart has to offer you, what the training is, what the course is. It's 100% free. It's nothing you have to actually pay for to join. So I recommend you take that for a test drive. As always, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you don't like this video, give me a thumbs down so I'll know that you didn't like it, so I'll know how to critique my content. With that being said, till next time, this is Digital DIY Geek from digitaldiygeek.com, and I'll see you in the very next video. Later.